The melee Warlock still lives, and with it, the perfect Battle Mage journey continues. You're looking at me being freshly 20, basically still in heroic leveling gear, doing a Reaper Chronoscope, which wasn't the cleverest thing I've ever done, but hey, I didn't die. My build is fairly bloody tanky. It definitely needs some improvements and better gear to adjust for the damage, because after all, I'm trying to make a Battle Mage, but either way, it's been a very fun build, very tanky. I finally got to Indy to level 20, so epics, and with it the epic destinies unlocked, which I'm still kind of struggling with. I will talk about that in just a little bit, because I could use some, perhaps, ideas, or maybe some pointers, I don't know. There's a lot of things that are really good about this build, and a lot of things that I probably need to solve for, but the game is so knowledge gappy that perhaps I could use a few pointers by those who have been there before. Who knows? But yes, either way, let us talk a little bit about the build and what I have done so far, and then we'll move into what I am thinking. And here we are in game with a turned around good boy. As you can see, we are level 20 and have a lot of room for improvement, as embarrassing as it might be. We have gotten quite far though, and have a +1 universal enhancement tree point, as well as a racial point from our human past lives, but that's both not necessary. As you can see, it just given me access to use one of my floating points to add to it for a +1 charisma, and the racial point doesn't do anything since we're a tiefling. In a perfect world, I would have preferred to be a dark bargainer with at least 19 levels of Warlock, which then means I can decide to go for a trance, which I technically think is the optimal way of doing it. At least that's what people have been saying. Although the level 20 allows us to go for a capstone, which is also very, very sexy. Speaking of what we have done so far that is very, very sexy, we have specced very heavily into the Enlightened Spirit tree, especially since Displacement and both Beacon got buffed by having their cost reduced, giving us 2 floating points, giving us more universal spell power, possibly a third one if we don't end up with medium armor. It is the goal though, because medium armor is quite lovely, as well as we gain more stats from medium armor through shaped vestments. Yeah, we pick up all the cores. There's a lot of lovely stuff, and including knockdown immunity, although it's only most knockdown effects, it's not all knockdown effects, and a bunch of bonus imbue, and a lovely amount of stats from ultimate enlightenment, which we would otherwise not get if we had gone with the trance, right? We have spiritual defense maxed out. Pretty much everything revolving around the aura is maxed, as well as the imbue, which is what we're building around. The light damage, the light, what's it below? Alignment damage, I believe it is technically called. As well as the melee and the pact scale of that, which is very, very good. On top of that, we have only gotten 1 point in resist energies, because putting more points into it doesn't do anything other than make it cheaper, which is not necessary. Now, the only questionable thing is that we have opted for Eldritch Burst 2 out of 3 and Spirit Blast 2 out of 3, which is weird, perhaps to some, since we have 2 extra points, since they, buffed the tree, so we could actually cap it out and have the exact same effect. Now, the reason why I did not go with that is because, as you can see, it doesn't do anything different except reducing the cooldown by 1 second. That is it. So we would have to spend 1 point for 1 second. And the reality is, as you play the game, especially as a battle mage and not a short-range caster, you end up having too many buttons to press. Among the bursts themselves, we will have epic destiny buttons, epic strikes, we will have things like rapid slash, melee attacks. On top of that, there's a lot of things we have to press, so by the time I get around to pressing Eldritch Burst or Spirit Blast again, not to forget about movement itself too, right? The cooldowns are typically already done, so I wouldn't practically get anything out of it had I spent more points. I'd rather just get more spell power and universal spell power instead. But maybe my logic is off here. You can disagree with it, please let me know. But otherwise, that's what I have experienced so far. We are, of course, also picking up the usual suspect with Familiar Flourish 1 and 2, since we are charisma based, and this allows us to attack with charisma with our weapons. Also, illusionary weaponry for the imbue, which is just very cute. A little bit of fox power, Gotta take the cute bastards with us. Tainted Scholar, we've picked up to make Utter Dark Blast happen, which allows us to scale 1/2 of our pact into alignment damage, which is of course what we are stacking a lot of, which is scaling our pact. as well as our spiritual retribution node here, giving us the imbue, which is light damage. In a perfect world, you would be a dark bargainer, and this would not be necessary because you would already have an evil pact. Now, in addition to that, though, you could then go for maybe some speed or some debuffs, which would be very lovely, which we can't do. Instead, we have simply opted for the Tainted Scholar to deal with more optimized scaling for light and alignment, spell power, and then the rest goes into Vistani Knife Fighter. Now, the reason why we have a floating point is because we did not opt for Mist Stalker 2, we instead opted for the Undead Hunter. I felt like there are so many undeads in the game, I might as well pick up a little bit of love there, right? Now, I do pick up as many core as I can because we get the crit competence bonus through both the multiplier and range, which is incredibly powerful. The rapid slash is just an insane button to press. Very powerful for leveling as well. Haste boost is our haste clicky, obviously. Some more weapon damage. Double strike. We are single weapon fighting. I would have preferred a 2-weapon fighting, I think. But I don't have the gear for it. And I'm very familiar with single weapon fighting because of all my previous classes that I've played so far, so I just went with that, and we have a bunch of like just +1/+1s. This is kind of what we have so far in terms of enhancements. Now, going back to our actual skills, I've mostly spent most of my skills in Intimidate, Spellcraft, and Use Magic Device. The Intimidate allows us to do Taunt, since we are very, very tanky, being able to taunt people off, others that might be otherwise vulnerable, or since we want enemies to be close, we can keep them on us and do more damage. This is something I learned when I was playing my Artificer, where I did not do that, and it was frustrating. Having that said, though, we pick up the minimal requirement amount of jump based on my guild levels, since the guild gives different buffs depending on what they have available. We pick up enough balance since we are single weapon fighting. And we pick up at least a point of tumble so I can roll as opposed to doing that weird stutter stab. The rest is kind of unnecessary. Well, other than the Use Magic Device, Spellcraft is more spell power. And of course, it kind of speaks for itself at that point, right? But yes, in terms of feats, this is where things get a little freaky. Let's see, we picked up all the single weapon fighting stuff. Since we are single weapon fighting, if you want to do 2-weapon fighting, these would always all be 2-weapon fighting. Although I think the offhand versatility would be open to you, which is kind of why I was hoping to go 2-weapon fighting. But alas, it is what it is. We also have... There was something else that was really good to pick up. Yeah, we have the Maximize and Quicken spell, which is very lovely. Especially on our SLAs. Most of our special stuff comes from our Warlock Pact. So far... pretty straightforward feat pickage, if you will. In terms of our spells, yeah, we pick up the usual suspects. The quality of lives, I don't pick up a lot of DC-based spells because I am a battle mage and I don't have the gear to really pump the DCs. Although, Avard's Black Tentacle is absolutely insane of a spell. This is enough of a spell to justify playing Warlock. It's so good. It is so good. Our pact gives us access to Bless as well, which is very cool. Magic Circle, freedom of movement, Holy Aura. It's really, really good stuff. Prayer, and of course with the protection from elements, the True Seeing, the Haste, the Dimension Door. You have a lot of quality of life, even though you have very little spells available as a Warlock. So really not that bad. Now this is where things get a little freaky, because as you saw the gameplay, I am a Draconic Incarnation Exalted Angel. That's my plan right now. I'm not sure if it's a good plan. I'm not sure what we're going to do with the third one. Because most people were recommending the typical suspect of Primal. Where is he? Primal Avatar, because of the shared mantle. But I want to use the Wrathful Form mantle, which means I can't use Primal Avatar effectively, which I know is less than useful. But hear me out. We saw the fire in the gameplay, right? That's Wrathful Form, which triggers on the Eldritch Blasts and Bursts. I was hoping it would trigger on the Pact, because it does for Fiend, because of course Exalted Angel works better with Fiend for some bloody reason, but it does trigger on my Eldritch Blast and Burst, which I'm spamming enough anyway to keep this up permanently. So my plan is to use Wrathful Form. Since we're already scaling alignment spell power, this is going to be very good for our Battle Mage, because we're just burning people constantly around us, and we don't have to think about it while the pact is popping off, our bursts are going, our melee attacks are swinging. It's going to be a good time. Exalted Angel also allows us to solve for two things that we would otherwise need to be a dark bargainer for, possibly. Because they're Dampier, which allows us to get the movement speed and undead healing, right? Now, we don't get that because we're a tiefling. But we do be able to pick up, that's a sentence, I can still pick up Angelic Charge, which allows us to do a leap through the air and even get some damage out of it once we improve it, perhaps, or heal. But also we pick up the Healing Pillar, which allows us to get our own healing. Now, it is an epic strike, so I could possibly pick up a different epic strike, maybe a Dragon Breath with a Vortex. Could be really good. Although I'm not really a fan of like going electric in the end, even though we are Celestial. I wanted to keep it in the light wheelhouse, so maybe there's a different epic strike I can pick up, or maybe I just don't pick up a different epic strike. That's fine too. But yeah, my plan is to build around Wrathful Form. And the reason why we're going Draconic, aside from the obvious Imbue die, is because the Daunting Roar apparently works with every proc of our Eldritch Pact, or Blast. The Aura Pulsing is apparently considered to be kind of every kind of spell for the sake of triggering this particular type of effect. So it is considered a quote-unquote breath weapon, which means every single time we pulse, we have a chance, a 1 in 4 chance, to essentially paralyze people without a save. Which is insane, because we're constantly pulsing in combat, right? That's insane. So we have to pick this up, and then the rest is going into Exalted Angel, or perhaps some other, maybe, yeah, some other faith-based destiny that we can maybe put our love into. Maybe Legendary Dreadnought, Fury of the Wild. If I want to go Quick Cutter, I don't. I hate Quick Cutter. I don't like it. That thing needs to be nerfed again. It's still way too powerful. It's so ruinous, isn't it? But yeah, that's my current plan. With the Angelic Charge, the healing from Exalted Angel, we pretty much patch up all the feel bad things about our Tiefling Warlock, which is not something we would have to worry about if we were a Dark Bargainer. Draconic Incarnations gives us the overpowered Daunting Roar combo with more Imbue die, and then we possibly have a third Destiny we can put something into, but I do not know what. If you have any suggestions, by all means. Again, I do know about Primal Avatar. I am opting to not use the mantle because I want to build around Wrathful Form. It just seems more interesting to me, even though it's less effective. But not, that's just what I like to do. But it is what it is. Having that said, though, we have a long way to go. We're only level 20. I only got my first blip, as you can see, so we're very, very early. My gear right now is also pretty bad still. As you can see, we only have really got the Epic Bracers of the Claw, which is the only set that I'm really happy with. We are using Midnight, which is like fine. I wonder if I can find maybe a better weapon. It is a kukri, which is kind of nice, but I hope to find a better weapon. Epic Rakshasa is the only level 20 epic items that I have that I could wear right now. Most of my leveling gear is level 21 for some reason. I also have like an epic Raven Sight, which is useless because the set bonus doesn't fully stack either with the epic Gloves of the Claw and the epic Bracer of the Claw set bonus like Volkor's Might. So there's a lot of things we have to look forward to. I do have my epic Voice of the Master, which is nice. I tried to curse it with a deck of many things. Hit Necromancy DCs. So I guess there is that. All hail the Eldritch Knight. But yeah, I do need to find some better leveling gear. I wish there was like a clear leveling set that I could pick up. That would be very, very nice. As for the future of this character, let us talk a little bit about what my plan is past level 20 all the way up to at least level 30. Now, as you can see, we are picking up Eldritch Blast and the Pact Dice because that's a lot of our damage. So increasing that seems to be kind of like a mandatory thing. So we want to pick that up early. Overwhelming Critical because we are doing some melee damage with the dagger. So we have to pick that up as soon as we can as well. We are perfect single weapon fighting compatible since that is the weapon style we chose. As opposed to the 2-weapon fighting. Otherwise we would have taken defeat associated with that at this point. Now we are contemplating Wellspring of Power. Since we're so deep into the Draconic anyway, this might be a good clicky. However, I don't like having too many clickies. So if I can find like a really good alternative to this, I might end up preferring that. Not because it's better It's probably going to be worse. I don't like clickies, and if I have something comparable, that would be great. We do, of course, take the mandatory Arcane Warrior as soon as we can. This is the reason why people take one level of Warlock, right? A lot of value to be had in Arcane Warrior, and since we have that very fast Eldritch Pulse Pact, or Blast, we're going to be able to keep this up very high, very often, very quickly. Now, on top of that, it gets a little freaky. Now, we do have Sign of the Plane of Air. Now, I don't like this because it's dodge and dodge cap, and I don't necessarily enjoy the dodge playstyle. It's very good when you're dodging, right up until you're not. I would rather have the fire version, but I am Celestial and not Fiend. So I think it might be better to go with Scion of the Plane of Air, unless there's a different version you guys would recommend. We also have Emboldened Spell, because we need some DCs, because I don't have a lot of gear. So I need to get my DCs pumped somehow. If you have a better alternative for Emboldened Spell, please let me know, because my spells might end up getting very expensive. But then again, level 30, that seems fine. And then we have Embodiment of Law at level 31, because I honestly don't think I can justify taking it any earlier than 31, because it is a Destiny feat, and I don't want to take it before perfect single weapon fighting, or before Pact dies, or before Arcane Warrior. So I feel like I'm taking this at 31, which is fine once you push into 31 and beyond. But that seems kind of where we are going to call it then. So I'm looking for a replacement for Wellspring of Power. I'm not entirely sure about Emboldened Spell. I just know DCs, because if you don't have enough DCs, there's no point in casting your spells, right? Because if they don't land, it doesn't matter. And I can do fine in Elite, but on Reaper, it's a bit of a problem. An Embodiment of Law is just your typical imbue die, because we are Celestial and such, and lawful and whatnot. So this is very, very fine. Actually, are we lawful? I don't think... It doesn't matter. Because I typically will True Res or Reincarnate at level 30 anyway. But this is what the plan is. By all means, let me know what you think of my plan from 20 to 30 at least, or 31, and how you would perhaps improve it, contemplating the fact that we are, of course, a battle mage, neither a pure mage or a pure meleeer, but a battle mage, a hybrid of both. I think it's alright. I think this is okay for the first time Warlock. But yes, let me know what you think. But alas, this is what we have done so far. I'm going to continue leveling into epics and give you guys an update once I am closing in on 30, or when I am at 30, to see what I ultimately decided on, and hopefully also have some good gear to show off. Who knows? But thank you so much. Keep an eye out. I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much. I'm out.